is modern training. My Mahuda Japlan with sugar cane. Don't let me Caribbean play. Ramdog and Bandel, Prakashanai. Jaji Bai. Brotherhood of the boat. Jaji Bai. Brotherhood of the boat. Jaji Bai. Africa, 50% India. I am going to be to holiday, emancipation and arrival day. Since Patel was stuck with that journey, 150 years gone already. Whether you're Hindu, Muslim or Christian, let's walk this land hand in hand. We could only prosper if we try. Brotherhood of the boat. Brotherhood of the boat. Zip the wheel. Go my head, zip the wheel. Zip the wheel. Go my head, zip the back to your roots. And somewhere on that journey, you will see a man in a dhoti saying in front of a jandi. Then I don't need any understand what is that was for nation. There's no room for prejudice at all. United we stand, divided we fall. So to always is here. Let us live as one under the sky. Jaji Bai. Brotherhood of the boat. Jaji Bai. Brotherhood of the boat. Jaji Bai. My girl, zip the wheel. Go my head, zip the wheel. Zip the wheel. What she give him to eat, I really don't know. Every 10 was to sleep at your life. 9 years about polo. Some of this in African tradition. Tell us that it's true Indian. I like it's not eating bread. Eating roti. Doesn't wear no jeans, he wearing dhoti. And growing up with the Indian woman. one thing you ought to love is the amount of culture we have in this country. Eh? Claim all, brother, claim all. She out of his eyesight, and he always bring looking for a mic. A time in a bassa in a river, Uncle Bassa man head with aloha. Man make a comment but polo figure. Right away Uncle Nelly commit murder. In front of the magistrate, how much trouble he gonna make? Yeah, man. Yeah, it has something in there.
So the chairs are removed and they think that please set up jamming. And so don't foreign countries really start migrating. They do faith in the country, they say we burn down the drain. They say no more could we see happy times again. But the little papa and my people like have confidence. Although many may seem to feel that I talking nonsense, but the majority of we decided not going to run, because now is the time to show our patriotism.
Our country basic
Is that is our, so our people need them today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, in a one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life will be much sweeter. When we really analyze just what was the problem, yes, we start making very positive moves to solve them. We fired the old set of managers we had working, and it's a new group we went and we bring. And have one little thing that I want you always remember.
And hear me tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about the disconnect in our society and how easy it is to use people against each other. Today, a very big businessman sent me a letter that he got. Now I want to read it in its entirety. I want to read it in its entirety to demonstrate how the people that you think that we get in office who speak for you, whether they're in office still or not, you assume that they know what they're talking about. And people tell me, Philip, why you have to go at them so? Why you have to pull them down so? Why you have to demonstrate? Because you see, you think all politicians are the same. Tonight, my partner Rudy Paul tell me, Phil boy, he's the strongest activist in the country. Maybe politics is not the way to go. Maybe we let whoever win, and we as activists, we pressure them. And I want to tell Rudy, one, the level of pressure we exert is not sustainable. We can't continue. There should have been other activists coming up to take over. There should have been more activists when I moved into politics. There should have been more activists to take my space. That's one. But two, with each transition, the 1% fronted parties are getting better at silencing people speaking. And I promise you all at some point, from the steps of the Hall of Justice, we'll be dealing with some of the things that I am dealing with within the Hall of Justice, and how the PNM is using taxpayer dollars to pay PNM lawyers to silence me, and the multiples of fronts that it's coming from. But that's not for now. For now, I want Rudy to understand that when I was an activist, I was fighting for the homeless, the orphans, the disabled, the differently able, the handicapped, whatever floats your boat. But the problem was, and it was plain to see, that there was no, I came up with the analogy that you're mopping a wet floor and you're mopping it as fast as you could, and you're twisting that mop into that bucket and you're taking up as much water as you could, but they have a running tap onto the ground. So while you're mopping, that tap wetting the floor more. And that the only way to dry the floor is to deal with the tap. The problem in Trinidad, that all activists, every issue that activists fight in, has a political solution. Every time I raise an issue in the public space and it takes traction and the public start to talk about it, people start to make solutions, people start to offer solutions, but the solutions is always, is not to remedy the problem. People want to offer solutions for symptoms. Today, my partner John sent me a picture of a whole big head of broccoli for 89 pence, and he worked out. He said if they put on 300% on this, and this is a retail price I'm showing you from an English grocery, and it's not the cheapest grocery. It's not one of their dome up the floor grocery. It's a big shot grocery, and it's 89 pence. And I'm looking for the woman who tell me she just travel. I want to see she passport. Because I know where she traveling to. I feel she traveling from Sawa to Charlotte Street. Because she tell me she travel, and all over the world the price high. But that's bullshit. Because people sending me from all over the world pictures of everything. And the good thing about all over the world is, if you're going Massey and the price high, you could leave. And go True Value and if the price high, you could leave. And go Chetty and if the price high, you could leave. All over the world, they have options. That's what they have. And if your price high for too long, you'll go out of business. But my people sending me, let me compete with them for the broccoli. That's not the solution. And next man tell me, let me open my chain of supermarkets and drive them out of business. That's not the solution. One, I'm not in the supermarket business. And two, and more importantly, the problem is the tap. The problem is to switch off the tap. The problem is 90,000 acres of farmland growing razor grass or malls for 1%ers. Everywhere else in the world closing down mall. We building new malls from Chaguanas to town. Watch and see just now. You're going to be able to walk from Chaguanas to Port of Spain on mall car park alone. Everywhere else in the world have a retail apocalypse, but in Trinidad, we building mall because down here money have to wash. Down here corruption and cocaine money have to wash. So they need branches, but we will come to that. The solution is to turn off the tap. The solution is to get the 90,000 acres of farmland under food. And it's not just under one friend of the PNM. Not 100 acres for Joe Paris from PNM and 100 acres for Joe Paris from UNC. It had to be that the entire country of farmers, 30,000 farmers could get a 1 acre and a 2 acre too. And what you need is a government to go after all them mall and all them friend of political parties who get all them acreages. And if it's not growing food that contributing to not contributing to the national diet, take it back. Take it back. And the same way they're spending money, taxpayers' money on lawyers to silence people from talking, I will spend money, taxpayers' money, on lawyers to make sure they understand that the public's right to food is a human right. That is a human right. It is a national security issue. That if we can't feed ourselves, China or Russia or Venezuela or America, they come and mine we. And in the behind the scenes, them fellas taking money for all of that. Them fellas cutting deal after deal. Because them don't care what happened to Trinidad. Them just want their wallet fat and the bank account fat so they could go. They only have few jackasses, that I am one of them, who seem to care about the country. Devon Maraj fly out of Trinidad, gone to live in Calgary, and write a whole big spiel about Calgary just like Trinidad. But Calgary don't have no crime, so it's Trinidadians to blame. I'm going for years tonight, because Devon is a doctor, like Dr. Pepper is a doctor. He writing as Dr. Devon Maraj. I want to know what he have any authority in for that doctorate. Doctor like Dr. Dre is a doctor. That is who writing for all you know. And I reading him, and I reading my response tonight. But the solution for Trinidad and Tobago, where the price of food is concerned, is first deal with the farmers. Make sure the farmers get land to farm. You ain't giving it to them. You ain't leasing it to them. You ain't telling them take it for 99 years. So when I turn my back, you sell it to your Syrian partner, and next thing I know is a housing project, because some minister of housing take a bribe, some minister of public administration sign a change of use, and next thing I know, all the land in Sawa and all the land in Aranguez that was given out to people for peppercorn to grow food is building. But I, as a prime minister, will be a fucked up man. And I have to use that word. I, as a prime minister, will be a fucked up man, because I will break every one of those structures down. I will remove every warehouse complex that on Cane land in Point Lisas. I will remove it. That's what you need. You need a government willing to go back to the people and give the people back their land. That's what it took. They took the people's farmland, give it to their friends turn around, sell it to investors, take their piece of money, minister get bribe, change a use, and next thing I know, instead of growing tomato and baigan and okra and broccoli like Shaliza Hassan Ali growing in Point Fortin, instead of growing food and kale, she's selling kale for $3 at Price Mart selling for $49. But instead of encouraging Shaliza, who have whatever acreage she have, a real government, a real minister of agriculture would go down to and say, "Hi, see what you're doing? I want to help you double." How to help you double? If I give you more land, what else you need? What else you need to keep growing food? Because every time somebody like Shaliza grows kale for $3, that's selling for $49, she pulling the cost of living down. Every time you buy it from Shaliza, instead of price man, you save in foreign exchange. Every time you buy from Shaliza, instead of price man, you put in money back in this economy, not in America economy. Every time you buy from a small farmer like Shaliza, you put in money in the economy. She go in and spend that money back inside the economy with the people that she had to deal with. Instead of putting more money in Christian Mute pocket, because he can't drive more than one Rolls Royce. He don't reach where he going. So he don't need no more money. Any more money after this, it's like stuffing socks in your jockey shorts to make the bulge look bigger, to fool people. Because you don't reach where you're going. After this, you had to dead. And all of we had to dead and go on to life. Cockroach and worm eat everybody. They have nothing else to get. You can't take it with you. 12 billionaires died this year in America. I asked on the thread, how many of them succeeded in taking the money with them? Because that's the truth. Come back to this. Trinidad and Tobago needs a government to treat with a couple things like they are urgent. The couple things that we have to deal with. Forget national security. Forget crime. Forget righteousness and wrongiousness. Those of you who getting distracted by Fitzgerald Hines bullshit, the 1% contract mafia, have that dancing jackass talking that shit for you. He laughing, they laughing, all them drinking 100-year single malt scotch, while you like an ass care about he talking shit. He is paid to talk shit. That's Fitzgerald Hines' work. He brings nothing else to the table but distract black people and give you shit to run with so the dish could run away with the spoon. Stop being so played. Stop being so stupid. You think he don't know is not a real word? You think he doesn't know? You think it wasn't deliberate? Stop being such simps. Stop being so simple in your mind. You see me talk about wrongiousness? You see me? I see it. And I like pass. Now the Asians a teacher be like water. Let it go. That have nothing to do with me. Fitzgerald Hines is an ass. He is a jackass. It's not my business. I know my child. He not my relative. He may be the Minister of National Security in the country because I can't do nothing about it yet because some of us in this country too blasted lazy to stand up. Everybody was asking, why had it take 3 years for election? It doesn't. 140,000 all you come and stand up with me in front of the Red House and I bet you we have an election in 6 weeks. But all you coward and all you have no love of country, all you too lazy, all you want to sit at home. Yes, Phillip, I like you, get him. But you want to watch me on your phone and on your iPad and on your TV screen. Where the popcorn, babes? Phillip on. Bring some popcorn, like Ice Entertainment. You don't realize that the quality of your life is shit because you're eating popcorn on your couch instead of coming outside with me. The farmers have to get land to farm. If the farmers get land to farm, then they will create jobs. They will lower the price of food. The farmers by themselves will do that. The government work is to open small markets throughout the country, in every community for all them vendors. If you have enough markets all through the country, see all them little red girl and little white girl who just go in them little traveling mall that is having country club and sell the earring and the crochet baby boots, them coming to rent space too, and we will develop a constant space where the people could express themselves, because not only the farmers will be able to come and get space, it could be like Wendell Motley Green Market on the Santa Cruz land, Wendell Motley Wife Green Market. When you go there and you see people making larepa and little pulled pork and thing, all of a sudden, all through the country, and not just one in a constituency, in big constituency, in 9 and 10, little strip mall that is state-owned, that you build, so that it costs a money, and you write off that money, and you're renting it cheap to people, so that you're keeping the price of food down. And if you build enough of them, and if they have enough farmers farming, and if enough young people could come out and say, hey, I could crochet boots too, I could come and make birdhouse, I could sell, wherever you could make and sell, you come to rent a space, and it's at $20 for the day. So come and rent it for $20 and do your thing and tell your friends, come and see me, taking posts, taking selfie. I'm inside this market, I'm up market, I'm down market, I'm side market. Come and see me in the market. And the whole culture of Trinidad will come down from the 1% Americanized bullshit. All of a sudden, Trinidadians eating breakfast, and they're pairing a local man from Maraval who making a nice hops with some green little seasoning inside the flour, so it's different, with some Charlie's black pudding and onion that grow right in the community. And all of a sudden, people starting to get a little opportunity. The place start to feel a little mobile again. All the rust start to shake off. All of us start to feel a little hope. We see a break in the horizon. We get it all daylight. Just farming, just vendors fixes that. Just that lowers the threshold of crime. Just that drops crime. I have no crime plan other than secure the borders. That's my crime plan. No more drugs, no more guns, no more human trafficking. But inside Trinidad, you see all them gang. If you have a government like Phillip Alexander, all them contract for gang to paint police station and come and shine minister balls. All that done. All that done. You now have dry up the funding for the gangs. Give all the gang members opportunity to come and sell bread and black pudding too. Little bacon shack in the market. So when they call it, hey, we're going to put on a walk. Nah, boy, I have a bill to pay, and a girl working in a vending this morning selling potato and plantain. All of a sudden, crime started to take care of itself. All these magicians are talking to you about crime. Crime is a function of poverty, desperation. That's what crime is. And if you don't change the society and give people hope and opportunity, you'll forever be having crime. But jackass Devon Mirage going all the way to Calgary to say Trini's to blame. I'm going to deal with you, Devon, tonight. Because like PNM sponsored that trip to Calgary. I understand how you shift, but we can fix that. It can't be just your love for Bassant. It has to be something else. I understand the bromance, but you're two on the other side right now. Backing up PNM with the people to blame bullshit and are dealing with all you and that tonight. But if you could pay attention to 30,000 farmers, I ain't talk yet about new farmers. I ain't talk yet about people who want to get into the business. I ain't talk yet about people who want to now come and offer downstream. Because you find out that we have 50,000 farmers and we have 50,000 farms active and 20,000 of them is pimento. Then all of a sudden you could get pimento, you could get pepper mash. So you coming up with your own little ingredients and your own little recipe, and you could buy pepper mash by the barrel and you could make your own thing, and now you in business that you're looking to export. Now all of a sudden it making sense. You get some hope too. And we get in, instead of spending foreign exchange for Haddad and Sabga and Massey to go and spend all the foreign exchange, bringing in American bullshit, processed food that designed to last for 100 years. So what I'm doing inside we body, God alone knows. I'm trying to show people on my Facebook. Every now and then I will share a meal besides my doubles, because I love my doubles. I love it. But besides my doubles and my roti, I share meals that we just make. And when you look on the plate, what you're seeing is plenty ingredients, good, healthy, nutritious food, not KFC bullshit to clog up your heart and kill you with stroke and heart attack. That's all KFC selling in a nice pretty box. Heart disease and stroke, we have the highest count of heart disease and stroke among young black males in the world. And in Trinidad, young black males has made KFC Trinidad the highest performing KFC in the world. You don't have to be a mathematician to get a maths to maths. You could see for yourself where it's going. These are the things we have to talk about as a country. You have a buffoon as a prime minister. The next one is a sleeping jackass, Kamla Prasad Bissessa. She is a front. Her job is to talk for people. They hand she paper and read that. God against Rowley. Rowley pants too tight. Kamla dress too long. Rowley shoes too bright. Kamla hair too brown. Bullshit. More bullshit. Roti politics from Parara. Some of the jackassness, wrongiousness from Fitzgerald Hines. And none of them talking politics that fixes the country. None of them talking issues. And I tell you tonight, the Ministry of Agriculture alone could cut crime in this country in half. The Ministry of Agriculture. You need to do three things. You need to pay farmers with farmland. You need to create spaces for them to vend throughout the country, in all the communities. You mustn't be able to swing a cat without finding a vending space in Trinidad and Tobago in every constituency, so that farmers and vending could be second level, going and buy from the farmers and come and vend and make a little piece of money. You can't overdo it because everybody's selling. So if you're overpricing yourself, well, you're lost already in your bus. because the market will control that. You don't need a Ministry of Legal Affairs and Price Control on website. Miss me with that bullshit. All you need is competition. Plenty food growing in Trinidad. And then we can start to talk export. The third thing we need is a predial larceny law so severe that nobody will step on a next man's land and pick a mango. You need a predial larceny law written like this. This isn't as simple as I could tell you. Right? Predial larceny squad throughout the country, 10,000 strong, going in every vendor, stopping by every truck on the side of the road selling orange and putigal. They're not hiding. They're in bright areas for you to see. You have public service announcements. If you spot somebody vending on the side of the road, call this number. So the predial larceny squad could come to them and say, I ain't here to move you, sell your oranges, but show me a receipt. How you come to be in possession of these oranges. Because if you don't have a receipt, you and the van and the oranges go into jail. If you don't have a receipt for the produce, if you have 3 goats and you can't tell me how you come to own those 3 goats, you and the goats go into jail. And if you have a government that's willing to put the farmers on the farmland, make the farmland available to farmers, if you have a government willing to make vending spaces available to farmers so they don't have to go and sell their farmers cheap to Massey, so Massey could come and bull the rest away. If you create vending spaces for the farmers, so the farmer have 4 children, he have 1 vending spot in Grandy, 1 in Toco, 1 in Port of Spain, 1 in San Fernando. And he's selling goods to all 4 spots and them selling, family working, everybody happy to ask with Massey. You see, that's how you're going to bring the price of broccoli down from $44 to $15. Because that's the price of broccoli after everybody put a markup. It is supposed to be more than $15. But Massey go in the market and buy it for 10 and come and jam we for 44. Because the P&M work is to make sure that they have no vendors close by selling. So you have 2 choices, eat the money or shop by Massey. That shit had to done. That shit had to done. And I'm going to talk like this tonight because I care to be Prime Minister in this country. You know. If you want a serious Prime Minister, you will make sure and vote for me. But I ain't here to lie to you anymore. I tell you all, the 5th of January, 2023 is a pivotal year. I come in to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And with the Archbishop lying to you, tell me who you're taking confession from. I come to tell you how this country could fix itself. All them people that committing crime in Trinidad and Tobago right now, tonight, committing crime because they have no choice. This is what the government has done to them. We've destroyed education, so we have a tiny group of people getting all the degrees and all the passes and trying to funnel them through universities. And the rest of them, you have to swing baton for Abood and go and pack fries for Mute. And you see that bullshit? That had to done. You need a Prime Minister of the people, but for the people. That's what you need. You need a Prime Minister for the people. This blackface jackass, here for nobody but the 1%. He want the rich to get richer. Because that's how he getting rich. That's how they getting their pocket fat. Ask them the system. Ask them the bagman system. I don't know. I'm not there with them. Ask them how it does work. Ask them how the contract to build a road in Manzanilla that ain't worth 2 million, that spent 12 million. If you give all that money to the contractor, go and ask how much you pay in Unicom to make them bullshit pavement in Woodbrook. Go and ask that. $89 million for president's house, but the president's still sleeping in Petite Valley. So what the $89 million spent for? It don't use for nothing. Just waste money. Bull the taxpayers. That costs 5 times more than it should. But if Phillip Edward Alexander talk about it, you cut on taxpayers' money, go in and pay Deborah Peak and some fella named Hefis Doon, a little princely looking fella, to come in the court. You see, in the court, they could bully me in the court, but outside here is the court of public opinion. And I'm telling you, I have put myself on the line for this country. And I am telling you, Trinidad and Tobago, P&M and the government and the UNC, the contract mafia, all of it is organized crime. Them no vending sign supposed to exist when vending opportunities exist. And if you don't create vending opportunities for the people, don't put God out your thoughts and plant no vending signs. Because the public have to get food that they could afford. And Massey taking advantage. True Value taking advantage. JTA taking advantage. The country needs a leader that understands man must eat. Just food. Today is the 5th. Make sure. Today's the 4th. I speeded. Today's the 4th. We already have the whole country up in arms about food. While them thieving money to push in the tent rental company friends' pockets so they could get a kickback. Because I can't understand a reason why we're paying $6 million for the tents in Victoria Square and we don't need it for more than $300,000. So what's the rest of the $5.7 million being spent for? Convenience? Whose convenience is that? This is P&M ripping off the country. And every step of the way, them and all their friends in the contract mafia, the secret society, them who's go and meet in the secret room and rub each other bottom to play, we working together. I want to expose all of it. 2023 is a pivotal year. If you want a better country, you will stand up for it. You could sit down, no problem. Phillip will put himself at risk. They will victimize, threaten, they might kill him. But you have an opportunity to stand up and make sure that don't happen. You have an opportunity to stand up. When you do taxi to mouth, everybody stop talking blackface, Indian face shit. They only have one political leader in this country that's standing up for the people, that talking the truth, that talking about reducing the price of food, creating jobs. You know what is the next thing that will happen? 50% of our foreign exchange is being spent on food for Haddad and Sabga and Massey to import. 50% of our foreign exchange. How they come to get control of the foreign exchange is another question altogether that somebody in government have to ask. But none of these jackasses going and ask. Kamala can't, because she want to work with the same people. She want finance from the same people. She want blessing from the same people. She want to get into government and work with the same people. So when she's sending her little trolls to tell you, and when she was in office, you had pavement and you drain water used to run, that is not enough. We need a government that will bring the banks back to order. The banks are taking advantage of the people. We need a government that understands that food security is national security, and she never did. All the bundling, badgy and body bullshit she gave all it a whole. And that's the truth. And that's the absolute truth. So when they're telling me, Phil, you have to see P&M is a common enemy. How the P&M is a common enemy and the UNC doing the same shit, different shit? Explain that to me. Explain that to me. Explain how the P&M is the common enemy, but the UNC giving contract to mow lawn in HDC project from people living Goodwood Park and various. Not little black people, 1%. Tell me how the P&M is the common enemy and UNC doing the same shit, different shit. Tell it to me. Make it make sense. Because when you're coming with your racist, trolling bullshit, that you just want to see an Indian face as Prime Minister, what is the difference between you and the jackasses who say they don't care if they eat grass? What's the difference? What is the difference between you and them? Neither of you all talking about what is right for the country. Tonight, all we're talking about is food. And that farmers growing food for profit will generate money in the community. They will create jobs and employment, create avenues for entrepreneurs to get into agro-processing and downstream food industry. They will lower the price of food by a ridiculous amount. I'm not talking about 50%. I'm telling you, the price of pimento in Massey stores right now is madness. That is 5 times more expensive than it should be. That your diet will all of a sudden make sense. Your doctor bill will go down, but you all have to be serious. And I know it's easy to say, but to ask with he. That's how I just talk. To ask with Phillip. No problem. Eat your KFC and dead young. But you're leaving your children to starve. And you're leaving your children to suffer in a country that's going down the drain. And if that is all you care about, you should wear a condom. Because if you don't care about the children, you shouldn't be a parent. All of my politics is for my children and yours. You should at least have the decency, the empathy, and the compassion to care about your own children too. Care about your children. Care what you're leaving behind. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth. Because the day you see, we the people of Trinidad today, red, white, black, green, and every shade, he's a half Syrian, he's a 1%. That's the bullshit that is talk. Rhoda Barrett with your fish face, talking about Jericho project. and cans of hope. You see, they send a friggin' infiltrator into the Jericho project to talk shit about cans of hope. But I am the only person in the country when Somalia was in the crisis that was able to send food to Somalia. And it got there with the Red Cross. Rhoda Barrett, you could kiss, not my ass, my neighbor ass. I don't want your mouth on my butter. But you could kiss somebody's ass. Don't come near me. Jericho Project do more for black people, poor black people in this country than the PNM that you are so big a part of. I want the PNM to tell me which homeless people, which orphan, which disabled they help. They'll kick the homeless out into the street. They have the homeless suffering. It's because of them we have so much homeless people in the country. Disabled people selling barbecue and curry to survive. And the orphans, all the PNM do to the orphans is molest them because they were caged birds. And you want to talk about me? Well, you have no decency. When only meet God, God should slap you. But this is a pivotal year for Trinidad and Tobago. This is not a normal time in the world. This country needs to be independent and independent from within. You have been under siege by a contract mafia. Businessmen, politicians, lawyers, and accountants that ganged up against you that you don't recognize. And they have you thinking that the issue is crime because black people just want to commit crime. As the bullshit narrative they're giving you as the undercurrent. They're not telling you that when you go in those communities, life hard. They're not telling you just to come out of the community, bust no run. Just to come out of the community hard. They're not telling you that. That is the nastiness of the PNM. But you see, that going on since slavery days. Since slavery days, what Massa learned is it was plenty more expensive to try and get white people to get black people to work. All you needed to do is starve all and then feed one. And that one will keep all the rest of them black people in line. And that is Trinidad and Tobago. And that is Balize House, Slave Trapper Central. Alright? Let me check it. Let me commission an inquiry now. Let me go into the banks and find out of all the people who have come for finance in this bank. Let us see the demographic by race. How are we doing with credit? How are we doing with business finance? Oh, you could get a 60,000 to go and wine on a bumsy for carnival. You have a year to pay that back. That is slavery in and of itself. But to give you money, to buy a car to go and work taxi, to give you money. People are asking, why don't regularize the PH drivers? I talk to the PH drivers. Boss, Scotia, Republic, Royal Bank, First Citizens, not financing we to go buy Sabga and buy a car and register at H. The only way we get into work taxi is we have to take a car from a man. The man owned the car. We have to get a man $300 for the day and a full gas tank before we make $1. That is how hard we had to work to see we way. That's why the PH taxis can't regularize. Because the same reason the vendors can't survive, the taxi drivers can't get money to buy a car. This is a bullshit show. And all of us know everything I say in here. You know? Everybody in Trinidad and Tobago, going to come on the thread and read. Everybody know what I say is the truth. But everybody have been too lazy. Everybody have been too coward. Everybody have been too... we too willing to... Boy, you know what? It's easier to take a bribe too. Take a little kickback too. It's easy to sell the rest of the slaves. Sleep in Massa house. And that easier? Stop writing the bullshit about the $147 million for carnival. That's chump change. They're thieving by the billion. Stop focusing on that. That is wrongiousness again. Leave them with the $147 million talk. That is more of the wrongiousness distraction. Focus on the issues. When somebody messaged me and tell me that we open a supermarket, I said, but it's not a supermarket you have to open. You have to get rid of the PNM and the UNC politically. You need a government in office that cares for the people. And while I love people that in those two parties, I'm talking about at a senior level of the parties, they are good and decent people. But because they're willing to uphold the banditry of the PNM and the UNC, as Morpheus told Neo, there are people, the people are not your enemy. Those people are not your enemy, but they are part of a system that will fight to the death to defend it, and that is what makes them your enemy. That is the conundrum of the politics in Trinidad and Tobago. When you see people like Penelope Beckles and David Naked and Jolene John, and you want to say, I want to tell you them good and decent. If you're good and decent, step out. If you're good and decent, call it out. Because I want to tell you, 2023 is a pivotal year. And everything I know are going to make it into the public space this year. Publish and be damned. The public have a right to know. The public has a right to know. And Kamla and Baliram and Ratiram and Mohit and the rest and Saram, them only have shit to study. Them only have small bottle politics to study. Them not gonna tell you the truth. They can't come at the real issues. The real issues in the country is that people getting bull right wrong. They can't get jobs. If you get a job, it's a suffering job. The bank, you're getting paid into the bank eating up your money. When you try to go and spend your money on food, you're getting bull there too. How are people supposed to survive? How? Telling me about those shopping Massy? You can't tell me where to shop. That is my concern. But the fight we're supposed to fight is for the price of food. You see, if we bring down the price of food, Massy can't sell food expensive. Massy food will come down too. But the reason Massy could sell food so high is everybody else food high. I go into the supermarkets. I even go in the market. The reason the price of food so high is we have 10% of the farmers that we should have. And every time it floods, it's them to catch. Government sending to take out the pump, mash up the gate, take away the gate, don't close the gate. All kind of shit going on. Deliberate, destroy the farmer shit. If you get into the broccoli business and import a 20-foot container of broccoli, you don't know who to bribe on the port. So customs and the port lost your container for 3 days. And then customs asking for 4 different printouts that you have to get. I'm not taking it as a fax. I need it as originals. Get it FedEx to me. So by the time you get your container, the goods spoil. That's what they're bribing them to do. People want to supply medical supplies cheaper to the hospitals. But when they pull up with the van, the door closed, they can't find the man who's received it, come back tomorrow. And when the next one goods come in, the whole place open wide like a hole in double palm. That is our country. That is our reality. Everything corrupt from the top down, and all of you know. And now you know, I know. So now you know they have a politician who want to expose all of it. You never know when I'm going to show up in your space to expose your piece of the corruption. You never know when your name going on call. You never know when me and my phone videotaping outside where you point down your shit. You never know. But I promise you, 2023 is a pivotal year. It is time to change Trinidad and Tobago. It is time. And we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, outnumber the racists. We outnumber the contract mafia. And I want to tell you this. If we stand together, all of the people who halfway in the criminality, them coming over too. Because if it's one thing this country is a bandwagon society. And what all are we standing for? Everybody standing for. Phillip will fix it is not a joke. Phillip will fix it is not a joke. Kamla went into the government to stunt. Kamla went to eat her food. She and all her ministers went to eat food and they rarely eat. Like the PNM rarely eating. All your billions that come into this country every year, it's not going into no stabilization fund for you. Call me but laughing at you. Then taking out with one hand and putting in with the other. And playing numbers on a piece of paper. And lying to you. Right now they don't have this country set up to fall again. 37 million people get COVID in one day in China. But this jackass of a minister of health saying, we haven't carnival, we can't block the Chinese. No, I see people from China whining in tongue. And you see it too? And jackass. But they want that. That man is as irrelevant as tits on a bull. But he need us to have pandemic. Because that's the only time jackasses like him and Mascara Girl have value. And I'm telling you, all them people, all them politicians, all them overnight activists who want you to riot, we don't need to riot. All of them who want you to go downtown and fight with police, we don't need to fight with police. They want you to pelt stone and cuss in tongue. We don't need to pelt no stone and cuss in tongue. All we do is stand up together. Just stand together. Give me 140,000 people in Orange now. Give me that. You will feel the place get a little buoyant. All of a sudden, everybody. Because I'm telling you, I deal with fire officers, I deal with police officers, I deal with people in every arm of the state. And all of them equally fed up. When police, fire, and prisons hear me say that none of them have medical insurance, and it dawned on them that they are in the most dangerous fields in this country, and that they should have had medical insurance, where the ass was your union. Where the ass was the associations that were supposed to fight for you. How much police, fire, and prisons officers dead from diseases in their retirement years that they didn't have medical to cover. Diseases caused by the job that they did. All kind of cancers, all kind of post-trauma, all kind of mental problems that they get because of being in those environments, and they have no money. The people in the dump, we call them essential workers. Not that we give a shit about them, you know. We call them essential workers so we could use the law against them. We call them essential workers so they can't strike. We could bull them hard, kick them all up in the face. The tire shredding man going on dead, and he will never get his pension because he's a poor black man from the beater, and poor black people from the beater don't matter except at election time when they send slave catchers like Fitzgerald Hines to beat a street sign with a cocaine broom and pretend this is something, Let me pretend there's a magic. I live in Hillsborough, you know. I just line with the whites, but I'll pretend to be black because it's election. And the poor black people have no options because what's the choice they have? UNC? Go and dance with Sadiq Bash? What is that choice is? They have a choice now. The Progressive Empowerment Party is an army of lions led by a lion. We could stand together. I want to walk with Rowley. Let me go. Leave your special branch detail behind. Let you and me go and walk where the poor people live. I'm willing to take the chance, Rowley. You willing? You're brave? Partner? You're willing to go and see how the people in this country really live. And tonight we talk about food and farming alone. And that will cut crime in half. You don't need no specialist to come and talk to you about crime. Crime is a function of poverty, of a nation of people watching criminals in government, watching criminal businessmen move billions of dollars of coke. And then you play the song, and I promise to read the 2 articles to you. So listen to this, This is Devon Maraj. I read in Devon Maraj first. Dr. Devon Maraj. I am Dr. Phil from tonight. The city of Calgary, Alberta, Canada is approximately 6,563 kilometers from Trinidad and Tobago. Calgary is the largest city in the western Canadian province of Alberta, and as of 2021 had a metropolitan population of 1,481,806 persons, making it the 3rd largest city and 5th largest metropolitan area in Canada. Calgary's crude oil production is a significant driver of local and regional economic growth. This is Devon Maraj's words. Clearly, the similarities between Calgary and Trinidad and Tobago should be self-evident, Doc. Is self-evident along these 2 isolated metrics. Anyway, my letter will deal with that. What is interesting, however, is that by December 2022, there were 26 homicides in Calgary, of which firearms were the cause of half of them. Interestingly, Calgary police had a solve rate of 73%. In total, 19 of the year's homicides have been cleared with charges. Yet a majority of Calgarians say they feel less safe in their city than they did 3 years ago. But experts say the city isn't less safe than it was in previous years. The Commissioner of Police held a press conference in March when the homicide rate crossed 12 for the year, stating that it was of deep concern to the city in Trinidad and Tobago, 12 murders in a weekend go without comment from the police as it's business as usual. Juxtaposed, now I want you to hear he using words and then he come in and contradict himself. And this is Dr. Devon Maraj. Juxtapose those glaring statistics against that of Trinidad and Tobago with a population of 1.3 million and an oil and gas economy. But in 2022, there were more than 600 homicides recorded, making 2022 the country's deadliest year ever. Equally concerning is the detection rate was only 18%. Remember, he gave you that information. The national media have already drawn comparisons between Trinidad and Tobago and other countries such as Jamaica, Ecuador, and other countries. The go-to response to these clearly unacceptable statistics is that the government is to blame. The finger pointing between government failures and the opposition's lack of support for crime-fighting legislation or criminal encouragement remains constant, despite who forms the government or opposition at any given time. Is the crime problem really to be blamed solely on the politician? Is it not Akit Rowley or Kamla Prasad Besessa who is lurking in the shadows to rob or murder citizens? This is the jump on the leap this jackass, Dr. Devon Maraj, makes. This is not to say that the government and opposition do not have an instrumental role in treating with crime in the country, but it is within the context of their spheres of control respectively. That is high-sounding bullshit, but I'll deal with that. The Trinidad and Tobago police, however, must face the uncontested fact that their failure to detect is an indictment on their competency and capacity to perform a task for which they are being paid. You just said that. Even so, the police alone cannot be blamed for the crime of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Even so, the sworn members of the Calgary Police Service are only 2,200 and there are only 8 stations excluding the police headquarters. Trinidad and Tobago has, this is where it should be has, Dr. Devant Maraj, not have. Trinidad and Tobago has 6,500 police officers with 84 police stations. So with almost triple the police force and 10 times more stations, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service fails to achieve a reduction in crime. Remember, he gave you that information. Prime Minister Bastio Pandey once declared that the government cannot put a policeman under every light pole, and years later, Prime Minister Rowley called on people to stop protecting and cover up for their relatives who are criminals, particularly murderers. Both prime ministers, separated by years apart, were forced to address the same underlying factor of crime in Trinidad and Tobago, that it is a societal issue which government, opposition, and police alone cannot fight. The population must develop a sense of civic responsibility and do not themselves participate in low infractions of the law simply because it will not be detected. Did he say that about Calgary? Is that the problem in Calgary? Even though they have 12 or 10 or whatever, were those 12 or 10 victims of the public? He didn't say it. The Calgary police boast that they have a very engaged community, and when the population sees news conferences, the police get an outpouring of phone calls, responses, and tips from Calgarians helping lead and solve other crimes. Those calls, full stop, help solve crimes. How actively engaged are the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago in reducing crime in their own country, or do they all simply say it's a problem for the government and police to solve and have no sense of civic responsibility in the process of controlling crime? That there is the PNM narrative. You see, the PNM fail and they don't have a plan. They don't have no idea. Trinidadians starve and the price of food is too expensive. People to blame. Bullshit. And this is how I answered Dr. Devon Maraj. The following is going to meander a bit because what it wants to convey should be a book, but we have to deliver it in less time for brevity. This is from Dr. Phillip Edward Alexander. From the dawn of man, knowledge was passed forward from one to another through apprenticeships where hands-on experience allowed the student to gain experience while being taught the details of the craft. As societies evolved, so did the need for designations to identify the level of supposed mastery of any discipline by an individual. Degrees suggested levels achieved, while titles such as master or doctor or even mister in the medical field being achieved by those with much experience and knowledge. Modern education and certification mills have stripped the need for hands-on experience altogether, with masters and doctorates being conferred on many who have only an idea of the craft but no actual experience. 250,000 words can effectively deserve you of a doctorate in a field you otherwise know nothing about. Experience remains the true master, and it is why in the modern world, those in the know turn to those with years of experience over those with only certification from academia, who themselves may have had no hands-on experience to draw from. Right now, the top 10 richest people in the world do not have a degree between them. Another good example is the idea of senior counsel in Trinidad, a bastardization of the high accolades awarded to those in the legal fraternity by the monarch after decades of proficiency and high recommendation from peers. Here you could afford appoint yourself a silk by just access to the office of state responsible for the nod, diluting it to not having the value of someone worthy of such a title. Perhaps that is why our Attorney General was slapped down and shamed on an international outing, because outside of Trinidad and Tobago, what you say and what you do actually counts for something. Our national awards are another example. Many who have received awards have been granted them for optical purposes more than being well-deserved. Optics that benefit a political agenda, and some have been given high awards while also deserving of criminal investigation and a stint in state accommodation if this were a real country. Our titles are as hollow as a termite-riddled plank, our designations plastic and cheap. Gone are the days when we produce men and women of respect. Now, if you could cheat your way to it or steal it outright, you could have it. In Trinidad and Tobago, you do not need knowledge of the post to hold the highest post in the food chain, or minister of this discipline or that. It is why the cabinet is devoid of one person of capacity, much less brilliance, and it is why our nation is failing. All of this is from Dr. Phillip Alexander. Perhaps it is also why the Coast Guardsman who ruled on the safety of an underwater accident scene without so much as getting his foot wet was not the first one charged with murder over the deaths of the 4 divers waiting on a rescue. Here, how it hang and go swing is our true national motto. Lawyers and judges and a law association rotten to the core cannot produce justice upon which a proper rule of law could prosper, so we all just dress up and pretend. an example of the failure of law to guide. We have, as law, drive on the left except when overtaking. So everyone, including police, drives on the right. The reason the president, a former judge, does not understand why the society has become so brutish as it has is because being a beneficiary for so long of the buoyancy that carried her into such positions, she is disconnected from the reality of the unsophisticated who appeared before her or over whom she eventually ruled, believing we could do better if we all just wished hard enough or understand why those without bread don't just eat cake. Take for example our Prime Minister, a buffoon. His buffoonery does not matter as long as he serves the interests of those who appointed him there, and as long as he dances for whichever race thinks it is their time now, without accounting for what that might mean in real terms. How it hang, let it swing. The previous Prime Minister spent her first 2 years in office vacillating from beauty queen to ambassador, reading whatever was thrust at her by her handlers. Literally the least of the evils available to challenge the then failing leader, she has now morphed completely into him. And were it not for gender differences, who could really tell the two of them apart? Politics has become a grand deception of malleable incompetence controlled behind the throne. Power then lies where it is not seen, never challenged. Today I read a contrast between Trinidad and Canadian Province Calgary that demonstrated similarities as to size, population, oil economy, number of police, and then skipped into the conclusion that it is the population of Trinidad to blame for our crime. I scrubbed the article looking for key information such as the impact of a multi-billion-dollar illegal drug trade in Calgary and found none. The drug trade that has corrupted our offices of state from Prime Minister down on every level of the law enforcement food chain. There are things that have taken place in this country where narcotics and high office holders are concerned that not even Steven Spielberg nor Francis Ford Coppola of Godfather trilogy fame ever considered. So far beyond the realm of reason, it may have failed the theatrical filter of suspension of disbelief to accept the premise. Then there's the racial divide that the author, Dr. Devant Maraj, built most of his adult career in, surfing in as the assistant head of one and then outright head of the other organization for the representation of one race against the other, and that was ignored altogether. That racial divide that has been exploited by the corrupt to put the corruptible in office and facilitate massive movement of cargo through state machinery, police cars, ambulances, TNTech trucks, Coast Guard vessels, national airline planes, the diplomatic pouch, and then use the national economy through overblown fake contracts to launder the proceeds. Again, all of this written by Dr. Phillip Alexander. I could compare the presence of sand in the Sahara to Trinidad and then blame the Sahara for its lack of rain if I wanted to play the same game of beginning with the end and forcing reality to fit my conclusions. We know the problem. Racism that fuels the elevation of the corrupt and even imbeciles to high positions of authority. The conundrum is, how do you get people divided by race to not vote racially? Ask that to the former head of GOPIO, Global Organization of People of Indian Origin. What was the other one when he get kicked out of GOPIO? Grandmother used to ask, how do you get a dog that loves to suck eggs to stop sucking eggs? Slavery did not end because slave owners suddenly grew a heart, nor did it end because slaves suddenly developed the ability to free themselves. It ended when persons outside the slavery system fought for right to prevail. The only real comparison to Trinidad are failed countries that pull themselves up and out of their failure. Calgary is part of a major world economy ruled by law. Dr. Devant Maraj does not know this. Trinidad is a backwater banana republic divided by race that just happens to have oil. We cannot fix our problems, of which crime is one, by allowing the arsonists to have responsibility for outing fires. 4 wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner never works well for the sheep. Trinidad will be fixed when people with love of country, capability and experience find their way into office. Waiting on the beneficiaries of racism or corruption to suddenly change their ways is a literal fool's errand, and is why despite election after election, we are still here. Crime is not spontaneous, it is caused. Until we are ready to treat with the causes, blaming the victim seems like something that makes sense until real sense comes along. Dr. Phillip Edward Alexander. You see, Devant, trying to carry on the PNM narrative. If you see something, say something. I picked up the phone and I call the police and I tell them about Unicom and the contract in St. James. They say we're not funded for that. I call them up and I tell them about the contract mafia operating out of the Chamber of Commerce, thieving money from the Treasury. They say we're not set up and funded for that. I call them about contracts. I call them about justice on time. I call them to ask why we still transporting prisoners in the backs of vans. Why police putting prisoners in the backs of cars. Mr. Alexander, them is not the crime we could take report for. So what Devon Mirage, Fitzgerald Hines, Keith Rowley, and Archbishop Jason Gordon want you to report on is black hen chicken crime. Jump over the wall, grab your sneakers, smoking weed on the corner, them kind of crime. But crime that the actual criminals in Trinidad committing, the actual white-collar crimes that driving all the other crime, because you see, them small crime, Devon, you see them crime that you want little black people to report on other people for, you see them crime, them is fruit of the poison tree. I want to lay the axe to the root of the evil tree. I want to cut down the drug trade, Devon. How come you ain't talk about that? But you know, and you know it is massive and it almost as large as the national economy. How come you're not talking about customs letting drugs and guns in free? How come you're not talking about 9% of the containers that came into Trinidad were stopped and checked on the port, the other 91% let go? So that people sign in for jockey shorts and paying duty on tube socks, but bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars worth of goods. How come you ain't talk about that? How come you ain't talk about those who corrupting the police? When we say the police corrupt, how come you're not talking about the fact that police not getting paid properly? But we could thief $500 million and bill at 1% Tanti overpass by Westmall. Dr. Devon Mirage, what do you have a doctorate in, brother? Because it seems that they send you to put an Indian face, to talk PNM bullshit, to fool people. And I not taking that. Trinidad's problem is not because people don't want to call the police and tell people. In Trinidad, witnesses get killed. In Trinidad, they just burn them in car. In Trinidad, they just cut them up in pieces and drop parts all over the country. In Trinidad, witness protection is a joke. In Trinidad, if you call the police and give them information, the police calling the people you're giving information on and telling them. So miss me with your bullshit, Devon Mirage. The reason you pack up your family and run to Calgary, Canada, is you know that Trinidad and Tobago is a latrine pit, a rat-infested latrine pit, and it's canal conks and maggots running the country, and that Trinidad is a shit show. And until we fix it from the top, stop blaming the bottom, brother. To the rest of y'all, if you want a better country, Trinidad and Tobago, if you want a better country, we need to stand together. We need to stand together as one people under one flag. All of the poor, all of the people catching your ass. Rhoda Barrett getting 50,000 to fool you. She not your friend. When you're hearing Power 102 Power Breakfast, them getting funded to talk PNM bullshit to keep you trapped. You're spending money, your money on shit. It's time for us to stand together and give them a reason to serve us. And stop listening to highly paid fools of this PNM bullshit show.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can protect our country's faith. But use it well before it's too late. If it is that who you're voting,
Fail beyond a doubt when you're voting. Whether they're black, whether they're Indian, Syrian, Chinese, white, it don't matter. The person in office is supposed to serve you, serve you, serve you, do a proper job of serving you. And if change must come about,
just as how you vote them in,
vote them out.
register and vote them out. If they can see, vote them out. State your finger and vote them out. Show them no mercy, vote them out. Vote them out, pay total skull and under the state. Let's put our country together again. Vote them out of power.
Terminate the reign.
Let's put our country together again.
A man just messaged me and telling me the price of gas important to farmers, and you're right. The price of gas is important to everybody. And it is I had organized all the truck drivers and all the taxi drivers and tell them come together and let us stand down, let us shut it down. All the truckers and all the taxi drivers. And if they had done it, the price of gas would have come back down. If everybody had joined me and boycott flour and all them bread company and leave Kiss company to choke with bread, the price of flour would have come down. It could fix 140,000 all year. Come and stand with me.
Before 30 years, you vote in the name, and there's only chance.
As soon as they win,
They give you big words, and it's made your soul.
promising you roads, charging you for roads, giving you potholes.
If they are the reason why,
If Rohan Sinanan is the reason why Manzanilla Road mash up, vote them out. If Paris family getting $20 million a year to rent building we don't need, while they are building on Nelson Street and Duncan Street idle, vote them out. Keith Rowley and Kamala Prasad Bissessa are the weaponized tip of the corruption spear. Call Bimbert pass into law a procurement act that not worth the paper it's written on. And Trinidad is going to continue to be a shit show for as long as you allow them to divide you by race.
let's put our country together again. Put them out with calypso.
And joyous refrain.
Let's put our country together again. If their policy
Is a fallacy, their bureaucracy, a catastrophe. If they cannot cope and you're seeing so, then your only hope is for all 41 to go.
if it is fabrication, these statements that this power.
When you're voting, if it's confusion and bacchanal, the only thing that's come out the mouth when you're voting, if they're telling you black skin and brown skin is the only thing matter,
Then in, register and all of them, take your finger and them on the system. Put them out in Scarborough and in Bonus Bay.
every Calypsonian in this country will tell you, listen to Phillip Alexander. Unless they get in too much money from Balize Hub, they will tell you, listen to Phillip Alexander. Everybody working for every public service department in this country will tell you, listen to Phillip Alexander. Know what he's talking about. This is the first time we've gotten a politician at this level who capable of going toe-to-toe with all of them, willing to come out and tell you the truth. Do not waste the opportunity. Now is the time for us to stand together, red, white, black and green, and every shade in between. People must come first, citizens by right. None are we ours, yellow, black or white. Food, shelter and clothes, free movement and speech. A garden that grows, and one law for each.
If it is that injustice is what they always show.
When you're voting, if it is that avarice, thieving is all they seem to know,
When you're voting,
vote them out. If it is their politics, it's just a puppy show. When elections day come,
all families must do.
all of them,
Register and if they don't see,
vote them out,
take your finger and
vote them out. for your country. Find your courage. Find your ability. Think about your children. Think about the ancestors who we buried. Think about the people who suffered while these high-class bandits thief out the country and sending jackasses like Devon Barrage to come and tell you poor people not calling police. Why he didn't call police for the UNC when he was eating? And he know what was going on? He was in the cabinet. Ask him now. Why Devon didn't call police? Talking about Calvary, miss me with your bullshit.
I visited Parliament Chamber, witness an orchestra, a band, band, band of only politicians there, rated their performance in style, talent and endurance, a band, band, band of parliamentarians.
Politics that encourage hate, making good folks discriminate, bridges replaced by hate. Prejudice and tribalism, multiculturalism, mamagism.
From the UNC and the BNN, COP and the political symphony. It's a symphony. TOP, MSJ and JSC and the political symphony. It's a symphony. Stop taking it cool.
Don't be played for a fool. They use it race as a tool to divide, conquer, and rule, to justify their bull. Race card they always pull. And I have one question for Devon Barrage. You sit down in a corrupt government. You come out and you say that is why you leave it. Why you didn't call the police?
Vocalists have sore throat. Keyboard is playing wrong.
Talking about cancer.
Of serial politicians.
This lyrics not rhyming. No sense of time.
Of parliamentarians.
Save the room for the Babalists, perverting the course of justice, our democracy at risk. Because Devon was there for Section 34. Why he didn't call the police? Who arranged the score? All these politicians willing to sell their souls, but they say willing to sleep with the devil. That's what they're doing. That is devil politics. You live 5 years and 6 months in a government, and now all of a sudden you have the answers.
Corruption rebuff.
Say enough is enough. The system will always fail once the big fish not making jail. This is why Sabga won't allow me on CNC3. This is why TV6 could bring all of them renter politicians morning and evening and turn them wrong and wrong. But even Fazir Mohammed get fed up. Even Fazir Mohammed get fed up, hear the same bullshit. They call it bullshit voo. Hear the same bullshit every single day. They get fed up. The president of the republic, she have the best racket in the world. They paying you a massive multi-million-dollar salary and you don't have to show up. They can't prosecute you. You can do what you like. She ain't want that. It is a shit show. That is a shit show. We have to face it. Doctor, what is the problem? You have cancer. We need you to stop smoking. We need you to change your diet. We need you to show up. Go and ask BC Paris. He going through it right now. Go and ask him. All of a sudden, he had to face his mortality. Go and ask him what that feels like. Go and ask him what that feels like now. I hope before, while he have whatever time he have left, he starts to write articles that gives people real hope and opportunity and not secret society bullshit. It is time for this country to face its reality. We are 60 years old. We've lost $3 trillion. The same bandit party that's in government 32 years, they again. What do you expect to change? Sitting down listening to Kamala and her kindergarten crew tell you, we can't do nothing, you know, the speaker don't let we talk. So if opposition only job is to go in the parliament and talk, but they're so irrelevant, the speaker could stop them, what is the point of the money that we're paying for the opposition? What's the point? If Phillip fixing more than Kamala, if the Progressive Empowerment Party doing more on the ground than the UNC, if when people put things on social media to highlight it, they highlighted Phillip Alexander, tagging Phillip Alexander name first. Why? Why is that? Why do you have an opposition if not to oppose, if not to stand up, if not to give the people something to stand for? What is the purpose of them? You have a government that is running amok because of a weak opposition, and we're still talking race politics. We're still pretending either one of those poisonous trees will ever bear fruit to the benefit of this country. What happened to fix the important things under any administration in Trinidad and Tobago? Everything has gotten progressively worse while they play this game of African and Indian blaming each other and have you scrapping for scraps on the bottom while the dish running away with the spoon. I promise you something. Give me parliamentary privilege. You will see 1%ers hold on to playing like how they tried to escape Afghanistan when the Taliban take over. You saw people grab onto a plane that was taking off. Take me with you. Because I'm telling you, in this country, we've made the narrative, we've made the saying behind every great wealth is great crime. We made that a reality in Trinidad and Tobago. And you have to decide, because when I look at my family, I tell them tonight, I say 50% of me just want to leave this shit show. I want to do like Devon and go in a place like Calgary where you could boss. I want to do like Suzette, go in Holland and boss. Look at how much food I get for my money. Look how safe the place is. Look at this tap. Every time I turn it on, water. I'm not tanking my yard. I want to do that. But I'm fighting. God hearing me, I'm fighting to make that the reality in my country. Because God knows I love my country. God knows I never sold out like any of those suddenly conscious and pious politicians who ate cabinet food and drank cabinet wine and fattened themselves and their family, and now that they're out of office suddenly finding all of the answers. I have been fighting for my country as an activist for 3 decades. They took 250,000 words to get the doctorate. I have written millions of words. I watch little suddenly just comes, nipping at me, and I laugh because I could turn around and drown them in my knowledge. My knowledge now is for the people of this country. 2023 is a pivotal year. We either stand together or we let it fail. You get to decide. I have shown up for the job. From the first working day of 2023, I have brought food and the cost of food front and center to the national debate. Ignore what's going on CNC3 and TB6. They are irrelevant. They rebroadcast what happens in the real world of social media, where it happens now. Your issues are food. Your issues, public health. Your issues, jobs. Your issues, those are what you see. If you had those things, you wouldn't care if the road looked the way it looked. We could drive around them pothole. If I know my children getting a proper education, if somebody gets sick and we go to the hospital, we're getting treated immediately. We call ambulance come. See them thing? I go in the grocery and I'm working for $2,800 a month, but I don't have to spend more than $1,000 a month. We have food to eat. You see them kind of thing? I have water in my tap, so I haven't pay no big extra electricity bill. If TNTech come in to bull me because Manning and Campbell didn't pay TNTech their electricity bill, if that wasn't happening, everybody would be happy. That's how you should be thinking. That's how you should be talking. We have water. I am the one who tell you we have more water falling on this country for free than we could ever use. It drowns this country every year, and not one of those jackasses had the sense between them to dig a hole. Neither Kamala nor Keith. You know, he's a geologist. You know, part of his course is hydrology. You know, part of his course is managing water. Part of that doctorate he write is how to deal with surface water. That jackass. You think they don't know? You really think they don't know? But all this knowledge and all this information, you have to go on your wall and share it. It must explode. Jesus Christ said when he was riding into town, he said, boy, when they, listen, even the rocks will speak out. You need to speak out. It must end now. It must end by Trinbagonians refusing to accept living in a bullshit show. We must stand together. It is time. Every country in the world that works, when you run into Calgary, you run into Holland, and you run into London, those people stand and defend their democracy. When will we defend ours? The time is now. 2023 is a pivotal year. Are you ready to stand up for Trinidad and Tobago? We need your assistance. We need you to come on board and join. No, we don't want no drug money. No, we don't want no political speculator investor money. We don't want your bag of money so you can come after and say we want to build flyover and bridge and road. Keep that. We want help. We need financial help to pay the bills, to keep the show running. If you think that what you heard tonight makes sense, call Felicia Holder now on 769-4590 and donate a $500 because we need it. We absolutely need it. We are building our war chest to be able to fight an election in 41 constituencies. And when you tell me, Philip, make sure you have people in every constituency, I'm telling you, I need to have people paid for 3 shifts in every voting district to count them votes to make sure they don't thief the election. And all of that costs money. Moving them around, the taxi, the rental car, to move them around on election day. The money to feed them, 3 meals for election day, 4 meals for election day. All of that costs money. And we need your help, and we need to build it now. Because when you stand with us and we stand together, government will call a snap election. Raul under pressure. And you know Kamala weak. So you have to make sure the Progressive Empowerment Party is in a place to fight and win. Because if not, all of this was for nothing. And you have to decide. I am prepared to sacrifice that much for my country. I know, I bury my daddy. I know it ends. I watch my daughter, I watch my son, I think to myself, how much more of my life I am prepared to waste behind a country that doesn't want to stand up for itself. And I said, 1 year, 2023, a pivotal year. Vernon de Lima tell me, he just published his book. He said, Phil, you need to know, you need to decide. I told him, 2023, I'm going to come out from the jump. I'm going to be from the first working day in the new year. I will be the opposition. I will give them hell. I will give the people something to stand up for. And the people, if they stand together, we will save Trinidad and Tobago. And if they don't, Ayo Pancho, as the old people say. Yeah? Felicia Holder's number is 769-4590. Please call her now and tell her you want to pledge $100 or you want to pledge $500 a month and you want to help us on this mission. Or you can call Indira at 702-744, I think it's 7445 or 7446. Let me just check. I don't give it wrong. 702-PHIL. 702-PHIL. Or you can WhatsApp me. Take pride in WhatsApping me, Phillip, at 682-2110. Phillip, I would like to donate $5,000 to the party tonight. Because I see that in the first day of the new year, you cross 120,000 views in videos talking about food. You went inside Massey. You take the fight 31%. And I see that you're serious. I want to donate $10,000 to the party. Because I see you working it full time. I see when people call in, you're here, there, and everywhere. So I want to help with the mission as much as you. It's not enough to love me. It's not enough to applaud me. It's not enough to click like. You have to help. Because 2023 is a pivotal year for you and for me. Because if we're going forward, 2023 has to be a resounding success. Politically, the media must come around and come sniffing around to say, we had to talk to you. Because everybody talking about you. Trinidad and Tobago deserves better. And that better could happen if all the people of this country, if you, one by one, forget what John and Danraj and Chin doing. You act, you stand up, you commit, you speak up, you use your social media for more than sharing bullshit. You share information that helps people. You give us your financial support if you could afford it. You volunteer. Call Satish Ramsaran at 796-8172 because 2023 is a pivotal year and you have to ask yourself, what am I prepared to do to rescue my country? Until tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.